enjoy gardening as a hobby, we have some good news for you. It could help you live longer. A study has found that those who garden are less stressed, they're more healthy. It says the hobby could help you live up to 100 years. To tell us more about the benefits, we're joined now by Sue Bott. She is from The Garden Shop. Thanks very much, Sue, for coming into studio.
Thank you.
So you say you could live up to 100 years if you choose gardening as one of your hobbies.
Well, the potential is there, I think.
And what is it about gardening, in your experience, that is such a stress reliever?
I think it's mostly that it's like meditation. And I think being close to nature, being close to the earth, has definite psychological benefits in terms of stress relief and things like that. I
mean, I've seen a trend on social media, certainly, people of all ages wanting to sort of start their own vegetable garden, that you know, trying to, in these tough times, perhaps harvest your own spinach, your own carrots, your own onions. At the Garden Shop, are you seeing those kinds of trends as well?
We're seeing a lot of those trends, and I think people are also trying to move away from genetically modified foods, etc. And it's good to know where your food actually comes from.
Yeah.
You won't be able in a small, like, household garden to harvest all your vegetables, but yes, it's always, you feel good when you've grown something, you've picked it, and you're now having it on the table. So it's always good to have something fresh and something from the garden and something that you've put your effort into.
And I think people with families as well, it's an interesting exercise for children to see you know, the planting of seeds, how it starts to sprout, and then what happens after that.
Yes, very much so. In fact, 2 days ago I had a customer and I was explaining about seed germination to him, and he had 2 little girls with him, and he said, "Yes, girls, you've didn't you learn this at school? Come tell me more about it." So I think it also creates interaction between parents and their children.
Yeah. So for December, is this a good time if you are looking for a stress reliever to start a garden?
It's always a good time to start a garden. And it doesn't have to be on a massive scale either. I mean, gardening has come through the ages, thousands of years. And if you think of those old Chinese men in small little flatlets pruning little bonsais, I mean, you definitely don't have to have a huge garden in order to get the benefits from stress relief for gardening.
I mean, what we've seen lately is, you talk about not needing a big space. They have these planter boxes that you can even put on your balcony if you happen to live in a block of flats, for example, or those crates that people are filling with soil, and they're planting their own lettuces, their own tomatoes, gem squash.
Yes, and also vertical walls has become very popular.
And very trendy.
Yes, and there's units available where you can actually have it indoors, where there's watering systems at the bottom that circulates the water. It won't damage your carpet, etc. So all of those are very good, and I think we've got an urge to get closer to nature, living in the concrete jungle.
Absolutely. So for December, just off the top of your head, if you wanted to start your own vegetable garden, what would be the vegetables that you would choose to start now in the season?
Well, usually your solangeous plants like tomatoes, brinjals, things like that. But I would recommend that you plant them then from seedlings, because it's a bit late to germinate them. Lettuces and things like that you can plant all year round, but one must just be careful that they don't seed, because when it gets very hot, then your leafy stuff starts seeding. Spinach, all of those type of things.
And you're at the Garden Shop, where you do offer classes on all kinds of things, from growing your own vegetables to rose pruning and the like.
Yes, we do all sorts of things. We do introduction courses for gardeners, and I must say it's not only gardeners who attend those courses. We get people who's retired, who's now started gardening, and they don't know anything about gardening, and it gives you all the the basic things that you need to know about gardening, from soil science to how plants work, how to prune, how to plant, etc. So it's very good. And also pest and disease control, which is often the nemesis of a gardener.
And also which plants perhaps to plant together, because from what I've been reading, you are able to plant certain things together to prevent certain bugs from attacking your plants, that kind of thing.
Yes, it's called companion planting.
Right.
And yes, certain things would attract the bugs and then they would leave your other stuff alone. And some things are also beneficial growing together because they release nutrients into the soil which the other plant use. They're just good neighbours. Things like basil and tomato, for instance.
Good neighbours in the garden, good neighbours on the plate.
Exactly, exactly.
Well,
but I
thank
think, you know, the other health benefit too is actually working with the soil. And you're naturally exposed to the bacterias and things in the soil, and you build up a natural immunity to all those bacteria and things. I mean, children who eat soil when they're small, they often don't become ill that often.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for coming into studio. Sue Bott is with the Garden Shop. If you want to live as long as 100, gardening is a great stress reliever.